Hello, everyone, and thank you at Morningstar's Power of Managed Account Solutions. I'm Rick DeCristoforo, Director of Wealth Product. I run the products of Morningstar in the business.
And I'm Michael Molseed. I'm Head of Institutional Portfolio Management, working on the investment team that is building these managed account portfolios. Really good to be with you today.
Thank you very much again. Before we get into the session, let's get into some housekeeping. So the session itself is with the FAAA for accreditation. You'll receive some CPD details with an email within about a week or so, obviously helping this time of year. Please, this is an interactive session. We'll leave some time for questions and answers, so please do put those questions if you wish. The session is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be sent to all the attendees. And of course, we'd love your feedback, so please provide that at the end of the webinar. There's that fantastic disclaimer. Have a read. No, you won't. Okay, let's get into the agenda. So what we thought we'd do is, before we go into the core content, we'll talk a little bit about the macro environment, the industry, and the impact that managed accounts are having on advice businesses. Mike and I will talk through the solutions and our expertise in service, and hopefully, of course, give us time to have a conversation and take some questions as well. Alrighty. What has been happening as far as the industry is concerned, and there's a lot of factors for this. We've seen a very significant increase of funds under advice per advisor, and this has got a lot to do with two factors. Of course, is the decision that I'm sure you're all making in terms of the types of clients you're taking on, as well as the fact that there is a greater demand than supply for financial advice. So we're seeing some fantastic uplift in the FUA per advisor. You're obviously having a big impact with that. FUA from 66 to 89 million is the average. And in addition to that, looking at the practice health itself, that at $225 million as an average practice. If you think about that, for those people who've been, in the industry for, more than a decade or so, that's a very large number. Would have been seen as a very, very large practice back in the day. That's now the average size of practice is 225 million. Now, with that growth comes challenges. You can imagine if you're running portfolios for groups of clients, what does that mean when, for example, an event or a change needs to be made? So some of the considerations need to be brought to bear here is around practice efficiency and how to think about reducing your cost pressure. Because imagine you needed to make a change across your client book, it's portfolio administration, it takes away time from your clients. And it would, of course, as a result of that, hamper practice growth because you'd be spending time doing that rather than working with your clients. Of course, your clients are expecting that there is a need to be responsive to portfolios and also take on, whatever challenges and questions are raised as the number of clients grow. And then on top of that is the actual demands of running a portfolio for groups of clients where you have an investment program. You've got to think about what you're actually doing. So there are ways around the things that can be improved around that. And that's one of the things that we'll be talking about that. Now, one of the upsides of this, of course, is the response that the industry's had to manage accounts itself. And you can see there, one of the more recent surveys run by SSGA has said that the advisors are saying they're saving approximately 24 hours per week by executing managed accounts within their businesses. And what's really also interesting is that unlike earlier surveys where 2/3 of the industry were saying, yes, they might be using managed accounts, they may have not necessarily used them across the board for their client base. In more recent years, that's definitely changed. So now, an average of 71% of advisor clients' total assets are now in managed accounts across the board. And that means if you take those numbers, what that basically means is those advisors who've decided to try managed accounts are now really implementing them within their practices. Of course, how does that play out? Well, that plays out in this exponential growth that we're seeing across managed accounts in general. So, from not that long ago, 2019 at $80 billion to now $286 billion, doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. And there's a plethora of business choices you can make associated with that. And Mike will talk you through what those choices are and how we can help you. From an approach perspective, and I guess this is thinking about it from a business perspective, is if you were thinking about how you run portfolios for groups of clients, what are your decisions that you need to make? you could use an asset consultant. And of course, an asset consultant would be there to support you. But what it does require is a raft of things for you to do inside your business to make that portfolio work. Setting business objectives, you're choosing the investment manager, you set your values and mission. You then, of course, need to make the portfolio decisions, do reporting, manage third-party relationships, portfolio risk and monitoring of performance is a requirement. Of course, clients are expecting to know what's happening. Of course, ensure regulatory compliance. Potentially do the trades yourself if you're executing within the platform. And of course, the SOA administration and risk management over the advice cycle. So that basically is a fairly large plethora of things that really means that when you're employing an asset consultant, you're still actually doing a lot of the additional work related to the portfolio over and alongside advice delivery. What Morningstar Solutions seeks to deliver is an opportunity for yourself to take away most of that operational element and the extra work around risk management and administration, portfolio selection, and leave you with three key things that really allow you to focus on your business. Setting your business objective, setting your investment manager, which we hope is us, and of course, setting the business values and missions and how that lines up with the way you deliver advice to your clients. And what that translates into is basically some key additional benefits from engaging someone like Morningstar or engaging Morningstar. And basically, it's efficiency in portfolio design, construction, and execution. Leveraging Morningstar, the global capability, whether you use the off-the-shelf options or bespoke solutions that Mike's going to talk to. The assurance of a partner who shares fiduciary responsibility. So in this case, the fact that Morningstar will take responsibility for the portfolio and walk alongside you as those portfolios are delivered. So we wouldn't just be giving you information that you may or may not act on, but actually acting as your portfolio manager and having that fiduciary responsibility to protect you and your clients. The ability for you to delegate the financial decision around the investment decisions themselves, the discretion, as well as the accountability for performance. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to be able to point to, what caused the portfolios to do well, what caused them to have an issue here or there. You can rely on us to be accountable and also to have that investment discretion, but at the same time, take you on the journey and keep you fully informed. We will give you the integrity and transparency as we don't have competing business lines. We don't work in advice. Our work is solely focused on improving outcomes for advisor clients, and we keep you constantly informed. And of course, from a company like Morningstar, when you're thinking about the Australian business, we've also got the global business behind us. An example of that, of course, is the Dedicated Capital Asset Markets Group. This is a group that determines the economic environment and then considers the asset allocation positions that should be employed at particular points in time. And we have a view, and of course, again, we would share that with you. So in doing so, you would then be able to overcome key important portfolio implementation challenges. So by delegating to us and giving us the ability to then keep you informed and support you, we would be able to help you respond quickly and effectively to complex and fast-moving markets and ensure that clients are properly and informed and updated in a timely manner. We'd strengthen your offering by that full support of having a well-known, trusted brand as well as operational infrastructure. We would reduce your implementation risks. You would not need to actually access platforms and make those transaction choices. We do pre- and post-trade compliance, ensuring that portfolios are managed in a way that complies in the intended manner. And then, of course, the investment confidence, knowing that we're operating as an investment manager for you, having the portfolio performance, the support around risk management and supporting the needs of clients, or should ASIC ever ask a question about how the portfolios are being run. So I'm going to hand to Michael, who's going to talk us through the solutions.
Thanks, Rick. So at Morningstar, we were actually one of the pioneers in managed accounts in Australia with our offerings many years ago. So we have a lot of expertise in this area. And we have a product suite that's built out really to serve you across a range of different options, depending on what path you want to go down with managed accounts. So along the bottom on this slide here, you can see our broad offerings. So on the left, you've got our Morningstar multi-asset SMAs. They're Morningstar branded. They're our best ideas. We run all those risk profiles and manage them internally. Then moving across to the right, you have the Morningstar Medalist managed account. So that's using third-party investment managers as the underlying building blocks of a multi-asset portfolio. And we leverage off Morningstar's independent research capability in selecting those managers. So they are have to be medalist rated. So there's a very high degree of scrutiny and filtering to get onto that benchmark list of managers. And then at Investment Management, we also look at using our expertise to construct those managers into a portfolio to deliver those risk-adjusted outcomes over the long term. Then moving across to the right, you've got our bespoke portfolios. So depending on where you're coming from as a practice, you may have, a large investor base currently in model portfolios or an existing manager, and you're looking to transition that into a managed account or to a new investment manager. We can tailor portfolios to you, blending our best ideas with potentially, managers that you may have large embedded capital gains with, or looking to manage transition costs. So we've got a full service offering in that space, particularly for larger practices with scale that are looking for something like that. And then over on the far right, you've got our managed funds business. So we use our managed funds as building blocks within our managed account portfolios, and that gives increased efficiency and scalability, allowing us to act quickly in markets and leveraging our best ideas and then feeding that up through our managed accounts. So that's the overall structure of our product lineup. And across the top in the red boxes, all the benefits that come with these products are built in across them. So they're professionally managed by us. We have a team of 15 in Australia and then a global team that Rick said we leverage off that investment capability. We're a reputable and trusted brand globally. We take our fiduciary responsibility very seriously, and we have the highest, degrees of governance and compliance when we're running these portfolios. We create holistic, diversified portfolios. We're very experienced at doing that. We have all of the pre and post trade compliance. We're leveraging off our institutional grade portfolio management and execution skills. We're providing great scalability for your business in using these products, because you can choose from a broad range of options and really scale that into whatever your client's needs are. Plays into the less paperwork and admin, as Rick said, saving 24 hours a week. And then lastly and not least is the communications and support that we provide, and we do take that very seriously in making sure that we are accountable and transparent and providing you all the information you need to keep your clients informed and encouraging them to use the product. Now, just touching on that range of product that we have, from the Morningstar product through to the bespoke product. This is a little bit of a graphic just explaining that it's a spectrum. So on the left, you've got, as I said, that Morningstar branded product. In the middle, though, we can actually white label those products for your practice. So if you want to have your practice branding on our off-the-shelf solutions, we can certainly do that for you. And that's an important aspects for a lot of advisor groups that want to have their brand to their clients. And then to the right, as we move across, we can then start to customize portfolios again under your own advisor brand, and we can provide those solutions for you. Just a little bit about Morningstar and our expertise in this space. So Morningstar globally, we do a lot of things across the financial ecosystem. We're a large data company. We obviously have manager research ratings, which was one of the foundations of the business 40 years ago. But we are a very large investment manager globally, and this is one of our key areas of expertise. So we're managing over 350 billion Aussie in funds under management. globally, and in Australia, we're at around $14 billion. So we're managing across, across these advice clients in this product suite. We're also managing money for large institutions. So we have this foundation of capability that we're really leveraging our managed account solutions into. Our core value proposition, this is one of my favorite slides of what sets us apart. So it's really the three key things we'd like you to take away, what sets Morningstar apart in the managed account space. So one is our heritage as an investment manager. So, we've been doing this for 40 years. Morningstar is a trusted brand, really a company that you can get behind and will support you in your business. Two is our investment capabilities. So having that credibility of managing institutional money, having all the systems, we're not just running off spreadsheets, we're running off proper trading systems, and have all of that pre and post trade compliance, which is especially important for running these portfolios. And then thirdly is our service and support, which, as I said, is around supporting you, supporting your practice, being able to inform your clients. And Rick will touch on a little bit later about some of the collateral that we produce for clients under our managed accounts banner. And then our expertise, so there's really four key areas within our investment management that we leverage off. So firstly, top left is our capital markets assumptions. So that is really the bedrock of building these multi-asset portfolios, having a strategic asset allocation framework to deliver, an optimized risk-adjusted return over the investor time horizon. So we've got a very strong capability globally in that space that we leverage across all our portfolios. Top right is our Morningstar equity and fund research. So we're very well resourced globally with this research base that we then leverage off. So we're using, manager research in our multi-asset third-party manager product, like the medalist portfolios. We're also using Morningstar equity research as an input into our valuation methodology, which we use for our Morningstar best ideas, Morningstar branded SMAs. Bottom left, we are a premier, data collection company globally, and that is important because everything that we build is fed off data. So you're dealing with the data of the highest integrity, and that plays into their ability to report and be transparent and really let you understand what you're investing in these portfolios. And then bottom right, turning again to that institutional grade portfolio construction and execution. So it really is the highest level of compliance and governance that we're putting on these portfolios that you can trust in us to manage for you. So maybe turning to our service, Rick.
Yeah. So, whether we're talking about, our multi-asset SMAs, focus with valuation-driven asset allocation, direct securities and managed funds, ETFs built in, or the medalist portfolios, as Mike said, deriving the investment universe from our manager research medalist rating group, or the bespoke portfolio group. In all cases, when we're delivering managed accounts, the service and the care that you'll get will be the same as what I'm going to show you here, which is basically that we'll give you the portfolio analytics and reporting. It's powered by Morningstar's databases. As Mike said, we're one of the world's largest financial data companies. For practices, we deliver quarterly investment briefings to keep you up to speed. Ultimately, one of the key challenges for any practice is how to efficiently and carefully and properly communicate to clients. So keeping you informed so that you know what's happening and you can enunciate that to your clients in your way. Branded collateral, depending on the type of business need, and business planning support's part of our services. And there's a whole raft of other materials which are actually more around just straight collateral. So trade updates, economic updates, behavioral insights from our behavioral insights team, dedicated, ad hoc newsletter pieces, Morningstar research packs, SOA templates, and client communication templates. And I guess the point I'm making here is all of these things that help you operate your business as efficiently as possible to deliver as good as an investment outcome as you possibly can, and give you time to work on whatever you want in your business, and the focus that you might have in your business. Now, I guess that's not all, because one of the things that we have that's a bit of a unique point is that because we have a wide and strong global economic and markets research capability, when we think about events and things that happen in the marketplace, we're in one of those positions where we can quickly and efficiently deliver information and an analysis of an event and give it context around an investment environment. And the example of this, for example, was Liberation Day. When that information came out and obviously the event happened and the speech happened, it took us less than half a day, 12 hours, to release information across the world to investors that basically what was happening. Now, if you can think about this, it's one of the things to be able to analyze and explain something. It's another thing to do it promptly enough that it's useful. And that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves in, is to use our global capability, scale that global capability and bring it to you so that you can use it efficiently and clearly with your clients. So, of course, your clients are not just listening to the media, they're, of course, able to listen to yourselves as professionals, knowledgeable professionals. Now, of course, I couldn't go past our wonderful service sales team. These are just some of the key faces. I mean, this is the front face of the sales of BDM and practice support team. These are the people that you'll be working with who would be in your business to support you every step of the way. They are supported by a raft of other people in the business that are there to essentially deliver the investment outcomes to yourselves and your clients. We do have also a fantastic relationship with all of the key platforms. I don't believe there's any platform in market that we don't have a relationship with. And what I mean by relationship is active engagement with managed account portfolios available on their platforms. That means we have live and clear experience with how we engage with the platform, how the platform operates. And that means that we're also in a position to give you some understanding of how these platforms would work with you as they're executing the portfolios. We work hand in glove with those portfolios because, of course, as we tell them how we wish to execute, they're, of course, the ones that are executing in market. There we go. So with that, I think we've got perfectly timed. Very good. We've got time for questions. If anybody does have any questions, we'd love to take them.
I guess maybe one general question, Rick, is it's an evolving landscape out there in managed accounts. It's been fast growing. There's a number of players. I guess, where do you see Morningstar fitting within the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been very clear is that Morningstar is in that unique position to basically bring together like the economic and market view of things, the research and the investments all in an investment program or a managed account. And I think what's really interesting here is that, you know, if somebody has a particular preference for how they might execute or a security class they might execute, we definitely have a capability. So we're clearly a big player. I mean, that's a given, but that's sort of like the company. What's particularly, you know, comforting about this is that we're not just basically executing things at a wholesale level and not treating people with some level of individuality in terms of the service and support. We have people on the ground. We have people who are there to actually talk to the advisors around how they can help their businesses. I think probably from you know, for your perspective, you've obviously seen, you know, quite an evolution, and Michael was one of the key people in the managed research area not that long ago. Interested in your view about, you know, the evolution around portfolio construction and what's actually happening in, you know, not just the markets, but what you're seeing in terms of demand from advisors.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's what we look to bring is that institutional grade portfolio construction. So making sure that portfolios have that, you know, bedrock and sound basis of, you know, long-term capital market assumptions, forecasts. We're using the IP that we, you know, generate within Morningstar across, you know, multiple portfolios, and we're really making that available for all practices and giving you a lot of analysis and underpinning to give you comfort to use those portfolios. So that's really important. And I think that's the point of difference as well, that it is when we are building portfolios for clients, there's really a lot of rigor that goes behind it that we can share with you and take you on the journey. So I think that's key.
Thank you. Just there's one question which I'll quickly take in terms of like the approach to performance just generally and how do we operate? I think one of the key things is we, as an organisation, have always had our core vision being empowering investor success. We've always recognised that portfolios and investors do not invest for a year. In a lot of cases, I mean, the actual application of investments is through a superannuation portfolio, and superannuation portfolios are multi-decade. And as a result of that, our investment approach is actually thinking about, what's the appropriate performance result? What are we targeting for the time period that's relevant for the particular client? So we will make investments that might take a little time before they deliver. That is normal. And we would say that would be something that actually stands us apart because we're looking for delivering a long-term overall outcome from an investor's portfolio over a period.
And I think if you look at as I put up on the slide before, there's the spectrum of the product suite that we have. The Morningstar branded managed account performance has been very strong.
Exceptional.
Recently, for that particular reason. So we were early into some contrarian investment ideas, like investing in emerging markets, China, some out-of-favor things, energy in 2021 or 2020. And those things, have through the cycle delivered very strong returns. So you might have seen on the first slide, we've won some recent awards from performance. So Morningstar, the best ideas, Morningstar IP managed accounts are doing very well. Where performance might have been a little bit softer recently is in those third-party investment manager managed accounts, such as Medalist, where we all know that active managers have struggled in recent times, and that concentration in the market has been a headwind to a lot of active managers that are playing more of that valuation game. So there is two sides of it. Probably the third-party funds haven't been as strong, but over that full cycle, we know that the market's been very one-sided into that tech and AI theme. But there's a lot of risk in that. There's a lot of risk in that theme, and we are looking long-term with these investments. So we're not just chasing that short-term sugar hit of performance.
That being said, we're not shy. When we need to make a move, we need to make a move. There's a question in here around, examples of recent fund manager changes and along with the rationale. Can you talk to, a couple of pertinent ones that?
Yeah. So in that Medalist fund, we have made changes recently. You would have seen that in trade updates. So really, it's around strengthening the core of the portfolios. We've added a couple of managers that we've got very high conviction that they'll form a strong basis for the core. I describe it, we want these managers to be hitting singles, not taking a lot of risk. And then we can pull levers around that core into more high conviction ideas like small caps or a greater style tilt into other managers. So it's a little bit of a restructure that we think will just deliver a bit more consistency in returns rather than it being sort of a wholesale change.
Sure. Thank you. We might not have any more questions, but we might also be at time. Okay, well, just want to say from both of us, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, if you do have any questions or would like to discuss this more, please get in contact. Don't forget the feedback and keep an eye out for your FAAA CPD accreditation. Again, really appreciate your time and have a fantastic day and also Christmas. Cheers.
Thank you.
Any advice in this video is general advice prepared by Morningstar without reference to your objectives, financial situation, or needs. You should consider the advice in light of these matters and any relevant product disclosure statement before making any decision to invest.